you mentioned, it continues to move higher. Earnings have been the story. I mean, the bulls will come back and say 20-some-odd% growth in earnings. What do you expect the market to do?
If the one thing that makes me okay with all this, because otherwise, looking at these moves, I'd be sitting there freaking out because parabolic moves of this type are inherently unstable. It's that it's built on a solid foundation. So we are seeing good earnings growth. Now, a lot of it was, I think a certain amount was priced in. We were sort of pricing in, call it 11% earnings growth. We got, by whatever measure you want to do it, 14.
Yep.
Is that necessarily the reason for a 15% rally from those lows? Probably not. Probably a bit overextended. But at least if we're rallying because of earnings in some cases, that's as good of a reason as any.
I see inflation at the gas pump as everybody else does, even more so for the diesel folks. Inflation a problem for you?
Yes. Oh, of course it is, and I think that's what the bond market is telling you. That's what that's what Chris Waller told us. He was certainly one of the more dovish members. You can question how much of that was political versus economic. In terms of his dovishness, but it's pretty clear now that the risk for prices is to the upside. The bond market is reflecting it. The flattening yield curve is reflecting it.
What's the emotion of 4.1% inflation? To me, it's a huge statistic for the public.
Absolutely, and we're going to get the core PCE later this week. 0.3 is expected, but I saw, I think Anna Wong said 0.5 in one of the pieces I wrote. So I mean, it's inflation. This is the primary consideration.
See, I'm glad Sosnick's here. He's like keeping me honest. PCE price index year over year 3.8. Can you imagine, Paul, if that puppy pops 3.9?
Yeah, that would.
Or making a 4 number?
Yeah.
We're going to come back. Steve Sosnick with us, Interactive Brokers this morning. As it goes to the futures, up 24 earlier. Sosnick walked in the building and futures cratered. Up 6 is where we start out here this morning. I got a print on the VIX, 16.92. I don't trust it, but to get the market open, I do trust Alexis Christoforous.
And Tom, it looks like the S&P 500 and NASDAQ are opening in record territory. We've got a very modest gain for the S&P 500, up about 7.5 points, but enough to put it in record territory. NASDAQ Composite up about 50 points, and Dow Jones Industrial Average is racing ahead about 100 points right out of the gate. We've got oil much lower here this morning on hopes that the U.S. and Iran are near a peace deal that will reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Brent crude at $95.80 a barrel, down about 4%. West Texas Intermediate crude down 4.5%, just under $90 a barrel. And we've got the Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index up just slightly here at 1201.54. Dick's Sporting Goods down nearly 3% at the open. It narrowly cleared the bar for the first quarter, but it cut its full-year earnings outlook. It's also cautious about its guidance, and that's what's pressuring the stock. We are going to get results from HP, Marvel Technology, and Salesforce, but that's going to happen after the closing bell. That's your Bloomberg Opening Bell report. Tom and Paul.
Thanks so much, Alexis. I saw Robinhood over on the Death Star, and maybe on Fox Biz today and all that. In the milieu of Interactive Brokers, what percentage out there, and I don't mean specifically your company, that from a compliance standpoint that's unfair, but in the Sosnick observation of the market, and particularly those speculating, how many people have never enjoyed a legitimate down 30% bear market?
It's a very high number, and that actually, you hit on one of the cruxes of what I see out there. People who, let's say if you're 40 or under, you've never seen a sustained bear market. Any bear market you've seen, let's say post-COVID or 2022 is probably the longest they've seen.
They've never seen the Carter malaise.
They've never seen, yeah, exactly. And as a result, that's why every dip to them is a buying opportunity if you've never seen it. Anybody who's got a little bit of gray hair comes up to me.
3 people in the room.
Yes, exactly, and says to me things like, doesn't this remind you of 1999 again? Does this remind doesn't the private credit stuff have echoes of the global financial crisis? But but that's where the FOMO insurance comes in. They have to hold if they're institutional investors, have to hold their nose and participate. Otherwise, they're vastly underperforming their benchmark.
Yeah, and I guess the fact is, again, what a lot of the bulls will come in here and say is, but look what's driving the market. It's the big tech names, and that's where the earnings is. That's where the cash flow is. it's got to go up.
Yeah, yes, but on the other hand, I don't think it's a coincidence, for example, that the ETF DRAM listed about a month and a half ago got record inflows. I think it actually got, depending on how you measure it, faster than IBIT.
Okay.
And what do they hold? Micron, Hynix, Samsung, which stocks are rocket ship rides? And so what's happened is, you're seeing people pile in. We've given them new vehicles with which to speculate on these stocks. And that's not a criticism. That's just what the market is. And that's a good thing overall. But you get into these crowded trades where you see, Micron, yes, their earnings are going to be great. Are their earnings, so much ahead of where they were a while ago to justify this kind of, price spiral?
Quickly here, I got just one more quick question. I look here at the institutional ownership of Mag 7, the hyperscalers. They're basically under-owned, maybe just marginally, but it's not like they've loaded the boat on Apple or loaded the boat on NVIDIA, right?
No, I mean, here's the thing: if you bought semis and sold Mag 7, you did great, right? I mean, so at some level, these are do you want to be investing in the people who are spending all the money, which is the hyperscalers, or do you want to be investing in the recipients of the money, which is the memory stocks and stuff? That's a chapter that's left to be written, but I think right now that's the theme in the market.
Steve Sosnick, thank you so much. Interactive Brokers, the chief strategist this morning. It's green on the screen. I don't know what to do with it. I guess we're waiting to see more headlines come out. I got a good VIX print now, 16.94. Fractionally in a little bit. The yield space has been a non-event all morning. Yeah, it's red and green on the screen, 4.04. 2-year at 4.47. 10-year, 5.01 on the 30-year bond as well. The big story for me is West Texas in $4. Brent in $4. I got a 95 handle on Brent, 89 handle on West Texas Intermediate. Paul and Scarlett monitoring Iran forward here to get out to 12 noon. Across America, Bloomberg surveillance.
Bloomberg this weekend. News, politics, and the lighter side of Bloomberg.
The most coveted cosmetic enhancement in Asia right now are elf ears.
Elf ears.
Yes, people are getting injections to enhance their ears.
I really don't need anything else to learn to be self-conscious about. This is not something I needed to have on my radar.
Bloomberg this weekend, Saturdays and Sundays starting at 7 a.m. on Bloomberg 99.1, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app.
I'm Elton John. When he was just 13, my friend Ryan White was diagnosed with AIDS. This was 40 years ago. At the time, he was shunned and threatened by his community. Yet his grace and determination to help change.
across the board. And so our strength comes through product innovation, our strength comes through channel management, very different business model compared to what I did in my process automation days. And then performance material and technology, very interesting business. They build technology, they build energy infrastructure. So if you want to build if you are a refiner, you buy crude, which we all hear a lot about today due to ongoing Iran conflict. You don't sell crude, you sell product. You sell gasoline, you sell diesel, you sell jet fuel. So they have options to make multiple products.
Hear the full conversation on the latest edition of the Masters in Business podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Plus, listen anytime on the Bloomberg Business app and Bloomberg.com.
All right, thanks.
And stocks are holding on to some early gains, barely. The S&P 500 up about 3 points, enough to put it in record territory. Dow Jones Industrial Average up about 117 points now, a gain of 0.2%. But the NASDAQ just turned negative, down by about a point. Still, there is a growing chorus of Wall Street bulls. Goldman Sachs lifting its S&P 500 target to 8,000 from 7,600. And strategist at Barclays says investors still have room to chase the rally. Speaking of chasing the rally, SK Hynix and Micron Technology each topping $1 trillion in value for the first time as investors continue to bet on the AI boom. We've got shares of Lululemon up now 4.5% after the company agreed to resolve a dispute with its founder, Chip Wilson, by overhauling its board with 3 new directors. Brent crude, $95.80 the barrel, down nearly 4%. Crude down 4.5% at just under $90 a barrel. Spot gold down 2% at $44.19 the ounce. That's your Bloomberg Business Flash. Tom and Paul.
Alexis, thanks so much. I just want to do this quickly, Paul, before you bring in Matt. I just want to give people a window into how we develop our international coverage. Moments ago, and this is definitive worldwide, Eltaf Najib Fasada and Golnar Matavalli off the Queen Victoria Street desk on Iran. Hormuz may return to normal within a month of the deal. Iran TV says Eltaf went to school in northern Afghanistan. Haven't been there, flown over it.
Okay.
That's about as good as I've done. And Golnar, with her family in Iran, is definitive out of University of Durham. That's the character of the reporters we have here. Eltaf Najib Fasada and Golnar Matavalli publishing moments ago on Hormuz. Paul?
Very good. Let's get back to these markets here. Matt Stuckey joins us. He's the Chief Portfolio Manager, covers the equities business for Northwestern Mutual Wealth Management out there in Milwaukee. Hey, Matt, we had a guest on earlier that just said, he characterized this equity market as kind of like a ratchet market. It just ratchets up on every relatively positive news coming out of the Middle East, yet it doesn't necessarily trade off when that doesn't come to fruition. How do you think about the sustainability of this move higher in equity markets?
Oh, good morning, Paul. Thanks for having me back on the show. Look, I think that ratcheting up is happening because earnings are ratcheting up and sustaining that move higher. It seems like, with every week that goes by, the estimate for 2026 and 2027 earnings for the S&P 500 continues to ratchet higher.
Yep.
And so that kind of higher floor underneath the surface of the market from a fundamental perspective is why those gains are sticky despite the uncertainty coming out of the Middle East, which, if it's starting to ebb a little bit, probably puts a little bit of multiple support on top of the market here.
What is the support, Matt, of just simply the wall of money that needs to invest for retirement?
That's a good question. And, quite honestly, that's not a question we get too often. Look, I would say just the liquidity levels in the market, if you're looking at the money markets that are sitting out there, those continue to grind higher. And if you're an investor today, in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, you have to invest in the equity markets to meet your longer term goals. And, that's going to vary depending on your individual circumstances. But I would say most investors from a portfolio mix perspective, tend to be 70% equities, 30% fixed income, and so just by that alone, that's going to gravitate capital into the stock market. And to your question, is that underlying bid that allocates money towards the market here.
I look, Paul, 10.1 trillion in 401ks.
Yeah, that's solid. Hey, Matt, are you surprised that equities continue to move higher despite higher yields out there?
This is, I think, one of the critical watch points for markets. We're kind of pushing and flirting around that 4.5% level in the 10-year Treasury. In the last 3 years, that's kind of been the governor for when the multiple in the market really starts to feel some pressure and ultimately can bring the overall indexes lower. But what's changed a little bit and maybe puts the speed limit a little bit higher versus the last few years is just what we've been talking about. It's earnings growth. It's materially higher this year than what it's been the last few years. And so can the markets handle 4.6 or 4.7 versus 4.5? And I think that's an open-ended question. But at a minimum, it's narrowed the participation in markets. It's made them more narrow. For the first couple of months prior to the Iran conflict, over 60% of companies were outperforming the S&P 500. That's narrowed down to just 24% post the conflict started. And so the direction of interest rates matters for the participation in markets, but the overall levels, we're at levels that I think potentially could move us a little lower.
Matt, I have one quick question here. We got to run. You're stuck in O'Hare doing the grind at Northwestern Mutual. What's the mood of the people you talk to across America?
I'm down in Atlanta for our symposium wealth management conference, and optimistic is probably putting it lightly, just in terms of how advisors and investors are feeling, and a lot of it has to do with where markets are today.
Matt, thank you so much. With Northwestern Mutual, really appreciate what he and Brenner doing out there. It's time now, Paul, for a special guest. My eyes are hurting.
I know.
I mean, it's just too much here. Joining us, Anne-Marie Horton, Chief Knicks correspondent for Bloomberg as well. We were mentioning earlier, Anne-Marie, Dick's Sporting Goods, a little south today.
I saw.
What was it like when you walked into Dick's Sporting Goods and saw a New York Knicks NBA with sparkles bling jacket? I mean, was it a must purchase?
It was a must purchase, love at first sight kind of feeling. It's almost walking into a Balmain store and seeing your most perfect blazer. It was that kind of level.
It was like, Balmain level as well. Let us talk about this president. What does he do today?
He might be going to the next game.
That's right.
Potentially the finals. What does he do today? Well, I think we're waiting for the White House to give us any sort of understanding of what the Iranians are saying, if any of that is true and matches up. There's some things that the Iranians are saying that definitely the United States would like to see, like the Strait of Hormuz would be open, but the concessions of the U.S. ending the blockade, is that real?
In the zeitgeist, I've got Rubio all of a sudden giving me a Kissinger thing, and there's Cuba, and somebody in the zeitgeist had Vice President Vance walk into a room of 30 people, and there was absolute silence. Explain with your reporting the Rubio-Vance dichotomy.
Well, I think everyone obviously is looking at those two about who potentially is going to get the blessing, not just from the president, but also from the donors who potentially could be the 2028 candidate. There was a story, though, from the Daily Mail recently that VP Vance said maybe he's going to reconsider running for 2028. A lot can change, though. I think right now people would think that Marco Rubio's star is rising and Vance's star is going south. But we have a lot of time until 2028.
So, as it relates to Iran here, what do we think that President Trump's most recent thinking is? Does he want to get a deal done as soon as possible, or does he want to get what he thinks is a good deal? Does he care?
I definitely think he cares.
Okay.
I think it'll be hard for him to, based off what the Iranian state TV is reporting in terms of the memorandum of understanding they got, I think that'll be a hard deal for the president to accept, as well as Gulf Arab partners. Is Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates going to be willing to accept that Iran and Oman have a new system when it comes to vessels? Maybe they're not calling it a tolling, but there will be some sort of fees. No, this is an international waterway, and that is unacceptable to this White House as well as the partners in the Middle East. We just know about concessions maybe the U.S. made And you have to remember, this is coming from Iranian state TV.
Yep.
This is the regime-backed media. We still need to hear from the White House, because also we recently heard from yesterday in Russia. You have a leader when it comes to the Iranian delegation saying that highly enriched uranium is not on the table. That is a red line for this president, and that's the whole reason why he told the American people that he's going to war with Tehran.
Anne-Marie, nobody cares. The mail's coming in. Get back to the Knicks. Okay, who do they want to play? They got to play the Spurs.
Well,
I mean, the guy's taller than me.
All right, he is 7'5", Wemby. But last night, Oklahoma won, actually.
Yep.
I don't really think Victor Wembanyama showed up last night. But can we talk about the fact that this kid, the other day, at the buzzer, had even behind half court, hit a three-point.
I saw that.
Nothing but net.
It looked like a regular jump shot from a regular player, and it was in half court. The guy's
unbelievable.
Yeah, I want to see him against
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Who's Mr. Brunson want to play?
I don't know. I think this Knicks team is super dialed in, locked in, bringing up. Yeah, they're prepared for anyone. I just hope. But it's nice that they have a lot of time off. Let this Oklahoma San Antonio fight go to the bitter end and exhaust these people. Exhaust them.
I emailed Redo, keeper of the Amex. I mean, has he got a clear year on your 2 tickets, Section 5D?
Yeah, for me and you, Tom. Let's go. I got my jacket. I got the jacket.
Thank you so much. You got the jacket. Good morning from Anne-Marie's New York City.
The news doesn't stop on the weekends, and now neither do we. This is Lisa Mateo. Join us on Bloomberg this weekend. Watch and listen to the new show Saturdays and Sundays starting at 7 a.m. on Bloomberg Radio, TV, and the Bloomberg Business app.
Hi, Jose Minchero here, Head of Portfolio Analytics Research at Bloomberg. Are you looking for a risk model that adapts quickly to today's volatile markets? One capable of providing accurate risk forecasts and efficient optimized portfolios, all while mitigating those pesky correlations between idiosyncratic and factor returns. So, with no further ado, bring back a risk
Attention Southeast 62, theft just occurred, 52. Attention Southeast 62, Charles 123, Charles 328, Charles 123, Charles 328. Theft just occurred, 5210 English Avenue. Dollar General Laundry Detergent, Navy Blue, Chevy Malibu, license plate, Baker David William 9804, went to the Family Dollar next door. Time delay 3 minutes, 500 South, 5200 East.
123 Willow Park. 1276 State Prospect.
Charles 123, Charles 176, 951, Charles 328, disregard.
Charles 171, 134, incomplete phase 2, 826 East Sumner Avenue.
71, check it.
951. 134, check.
Center cars, Northwest B41, Franklin 28, Franklin 28. Assist DMS with possible forced entry, 2007, Country Junction, 1900 North, 8300 West.
Franklin 28.
Control signal 44.
Good.
Franklin 28 at 951.
You available for a traffic hazard at 10th and Beachway?
Info. 952. Charles 169, start to assist animal control with officer safety at 3203 St. Charles Place. 169. 952.
East District B61, Baker 131, Baker 125, trouble the person, 7930 Timber Ridge at the leasing office behind it.
Baker 125.
952, black male, black clothing, refusing to leave.
I'm clear, I'll try to call back.
Alarm 904 East 22nd Street. Caller can hear a loud alarm in the area, possibly coming from a warehouse to the east.
28 in Pennsylvania.
160, roll call.
953.
Control, Charles 178, and animal control for aggressive animal, Shelby and Raymond, currently at the bus stop. Large dog, gray with white face and a white collar, leashed to a white male, no shirt, black pants, just attacked a small dog on the porch of Tabor and Shelby, 2200 South, 1100 East.
178 clearing the animal control run.
East District B33, which is also one park, Baker 163, 155, trouble the person, 1343 North Edmonton.
163. 155.
955, there's somebody in a vacant unit.
Give me a sec. 169 Control, can you set my elevation to 3219 St. Charles, please?
Yep.
Okay.
Units reference the theft from the Dollar General. Some of your black male, black shirts, black sweatpants has
District 4 for property damage accident, 86 in Oak Landon. 7, thank you. 75. Clear.
Do you want traffic help?
4 or 5, how much longer you got the garage? Wrapping it up.
No, not yet. I'll wait till I get another car.
129, you clear?
7. 5, can you bend that 4-5, please?
Oh, yeah.
Clear information. They said they're stuck in the middle of the roadway and can't move the cars. 280 control.
David 280.
Okay, out again. 152.
So you guys, Mark 14. 10-4.
178. 179, fraud report pending over. 9011 Butternut Court.
Go ahead.
179. 727. The dogs are at both locations. You can check it over to animal control.
Over.
District B, Cumberland 22, Cumberland 29, disturbance at Kane, 604 Summerwood Lane.
Cumberland 22. Cumberland 29.
Got one over there. I definitely got two over here.
Cumberland 2, Cumberland 29, 958. A few minutes ago, a female was assaulted by known people with a cane.
Yeah, I don't know. She's trying to get up.
Everybody that's involved is on the scene still, and medics are staged.
Control, we need two medics for sure.
10-4. 123, it looks like they're gone. Disregard, I'll take the paper.
So make it a third medic. Got three over here. They struggle.
I'm clear.
North District 2,